Hi, Mike DePung here. Thanks for joining me today, of all days, on Earth Day. I have a number of poems that I've written about the environment, concerning the environment, not just the environment as a scientific um, field, but the environment as the spirit essence of life. Um, that it is just rich. Environment is rich with spirit expressions. Each thing, if you've ever heard the Pocahontas song, the song from Pocahontas, um, I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. And I don't know about name. I'd be hard pressed to walk past all the trees I walk past every day and call them by name. But I do know some, and there are some that have shared their energies with me. And if you've listened to any of my videos, you know that I'm coming from a shamanic perspective in my writing. And I mentioned that especially today because I want to read one of my poems about the sea, about the Gulf of Mexico in particular. Um, and I wrote it before I actually came to that awakening point that I shared earlier a week or so ago about the bird bath moon. And I just wanted to share this today and have you see that it was being aware of nature when I needed to awaken to my own heart because I needed a more complete healing. I needed to enter more consciously into this into this life, into who I am, to my own heart. I had to do that, but I was always being uh, I was always being prodded by spirit, by my own heart, to do that, to come face to face with myself. And maybe it would help some of you to hear this. But nature was a big way that spirit spoke to me, and maybe this poem will help some of us think about it. It's actually not it's not a happy poem. It's not like, oh, the uh, the grass is filled with clover and lilacs and violets and everything is beautiful. No, not this one. Um, in fact, part of the reason most of the nature poems that I've written directly, not all, but a fair number, are more in the form of a lament, um, that there's sorrow because of what has happened. And you'll see this as I read the poem. So I'm not going to blabber on anymore here. I want to read the poem to you. Excuse me. It's called The Moon at Half Mast. By the way, I did this poem. I wrote this in June of 2010, which was before all my very pointed self-conscious awakening. And it was shortly after the Deep Well Horizon oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, fair distance from Pensacola, where I was visiting in Pensacola, Florida. But the effects, well, you'll see, you'll hear. The moon at half mast. Nearly full moon viewed in azure blue sky before sun had set, all moon's features clearly visible, clearly weeping. I viewed the moon as I looked up past a sailboat mast, positioned from my vantage point halfway, like a flag at half staff, a symbol of sorrow, mourning, community recognition of someone passing, someone of significance, importance, more so than the common man, maybe for those who have served their country, our country. The moon, our moon, not just America's, grieved this day as she stared in horror, mouth agape, at her water she so faithfully controls. Waters of the Gulf of Mexico, waters of southern coastal United States, our states, appropriately salty waters now being raped. The vicious, belching, bellowing black gush of appropriately named crude oil, spewing, violently forcing its destructive blobs and blankets of life destroying gunk on this majestic milieu of marine flora and fauna. She, Moon, could not respond with frenetic action like that which she viewed with her silvery face of the buzzing cleanup engaged in by tiny man. She could only do three things. two of which she performs flawlessly. The third she awkwardly and silently conveys. Faithfully, she uses her mass and orbit to keep this globe, our globe, on its crucial 23.5-degree axis. And she then uses those same attributes, her attributes, to steadily, faithfully, and effortlessly urge the sea tides to ebb and flow. Neither natural nor effortless, though, are the silent sobs with which she now convulses, expressing the destruction and loss which we people, have caused her to witness. She now wails and laments, wails over the brown, unsightly blobs bobbing over the face of the surging blue sea, laments the answering oily sheen to the flawless silver radiance she casts there in beauty, wails for the tiny shelled creatures and wavy curly seagrasses now gasping poisoned breaths, laments the powdery white shores now pockmarked brown and gummy, wails over the majestic pelicans, gulls, osprey, heron, and every seabird that gently communes with her, all those threatened now with a greasy, flightless end or a perplexing, gnawing hunger. Laments the little fish, the dolphins, the turtles, the rays, the crustaceans, so many creatures puzzled at the noxious, smothering net now enclosing and settling upon them, around them, the cycle of life disrupted by this unnatural death. And through the salty and now oily tears of her devastated domain, she cries with the undulating sea surface, not I, not I, not I, did this, did this, did this. And the waves answer, who did, who did, who did? And what do we humans, say? Moon glows at half mast over the sea. And that's the poem. That was one of the times where I felt some degree of helplessness. I knew people were working to clean up beaches and everything as I was down there. I went out on a pontoon boat and I saw some of these creatures that I mentioned there with oil on them. I saw the thousands upon thousands of blobs of gunk floating everywhere, sinking to, and as it got closer to shore, embedding itself in the sand. All this oil from this oil well spill. And there was that sense of like, can it ever be fixed right? The answer is, yeah, this oil spill might be relatively cleaned up, but the effects will never be undone completely. And when it comes then to those who value nature, who understand the spirit essence of water, the spirit essence of the winds and the sky, and the spirit essence of all, when they protest and they say, we don't want an oil pipeline going through our land, running along our waterways, we don't want it. And to me, we all need to be aware of such things and take a stand. But here's the problem. While many people who I've spoken with would be like, oh, yes, nature is so valuable. It's so beautiful. I love the trees, or I love storms, or I love the sunshine and beaches. Not many stop and think, the trees have spirit. The trees are beings. So is the seashore. So are the sand. So are the little minuscule sand particles. All have spirit. And are we willing to value that enough to say we might be inconvenienced? Oh, we might not make the profits if we run the pipeline another way, or maybe not run it at all, because we would stop being so, the general population would stop being so greedy, want, make more money, make more money. And I'm going to share a little bit more about that. But this this poem that I wrote. At seeing the moon as I looked up past that ship's mast, and the full moon, almost full moon, was right there, halfway up it from where I was standing and looking up. And this just struck me. This was what the moon was communicating to me. Again, shaman, if you don't have to be called a shaman, anybody can listen to the spirit essence, the spirits of moon or the sea or turtles or whatever it is, if we want to, if we care, to just say, oh, we love it enough, but not enough to be inconvenienced if we don't have enough, as much gas as we might want, or if we don't have anything that we might say, I want it and I want it now, because that's the general attitude. It's been mine too. I don't deny it would be very difficult to go back and say, oh, no cars, forget that. But it should make us think too, oh, do we have to have oil? Do we have to use fossil fuels? And what's become clear is that no, we do not. And I know the arguments about, well, it does all this damage to the environment to produce batteries for electric powered car, although there are other means of being developed right now. But even at that, that's a faulty reasoning, because that's a one-time shot to create batteries that last for a long, long time, not something that you have to feed every week or so with fossil fuels. So my point is this: how much do we value? My question is, how much do we value the spirits of nature, spirit of the ocean, the spirit of the moon, and do we enter into communion with them, into fellowship with them? Something to think about on this day, this Earth Day. And I want to read one more poem that I had written about this kind of thing. And it's in the book that I keep showing you, that Marion Brickner and I did. And this is what I would like to read to you now, this short poem, After a Sip. This is called, Do You See What I See? Brilliantly burning, densely packed masses of gas transmit electromagnetic waves of energy traversing vast reaches of non-atmosphere, vacuum, space, beauty, dreams, romance, love, hope, celestial patterns, guides of destiny, all this evoked by these myriad stars. Well, at least that's what they tell us, that they're myriad. Astronomers, scientists, you know. Here in 21st century mid-America suburb, though, if I wished, I could count all those pinpricks of light that I can observe, the rest not visible through artificial haze of our own design. So again, the things that we say, we look at the stars many times and people are moved by the beauty of them, and rightfully so. Some people read the stars for guidance, saying that different positions and different stars and the energies they all carry, and they do carry energies and spirit essence. They value it, but how much do they stop and think, hey, we've made it harder and harder to connect with nature, to connect with the spirit essence of this great mother, this planet, of the cosmos themselves. And here's a little, the first verse of a poem that William Wordsworth wrote, and it captures maybe all the poems that I read. This captures all of it in just these few lines, written, by the way, about 224 years ago, 220 years ago, something like that. What he wrote is this. This is the first stanza of a sonnet. The world is too much with us. The world is too much with us, late and soon. Getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. Now, Wordsworth, along with others, other romantics, were responding to the beginning of devastation of nature and the environment uh, at the end of, I'm sorry, at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, they began knowing that this destruction was happening, rivers being fouled, people being um, crowded into cities that weren't meant to care for them, and then more destruction results. And here's the point of all of this: when our own devices, our own technologies and inventions and lifestyles and our own reasonings, we twist uh, events, we twist facts to make them fit what we want to believe so often. But it's our own greed that can obscure nature and the lessons and laws and the voices that we can hear, that we can access, that we can know, if we would just be willing to value, truly value, not I think it's pretty, but to value, I will do without. I will do without some things. I will change my lifestyle. It would be very difficult in this way. Like, I would be a big advocate of saying all plastics are banned except for those that involve life-saving efforts. Um, and that may include transportation, but not the cars. How much are we willing to give up to ensure that the sun, the moon, the stars, when they look down here, when they send their energies here, that they find life, spirit life is thriving? Many peoples did value this. Tribal peoples of old, indigenous peoples in the New World, they knew, they understood how to manage uh, the environment, how to manage ecosystems, how to manage those things that allow the Mother Earth to keep flowing, to keep going without ruining it, without ruining her. But it can't be through greedy capitalism, because that will always destroy. So think about it. This is Earth Day, and I wanted you to think about it and value it. Go ahead. Yeah, it is nice to go out and say hello to a tree and value its beauty, or whatever it might be. But this day, I hope that you are aware of some of these things, and that you will value um, all that we've been given, and that you will value your own heart to speak to you about these things, and that you will value your own heart enough to know how powerful you are, that you can communicate to nature. So until next time, love and peace.